Please silence your cell phones and refrain from making any noises in the meeting room. The United States, the state of Tennessee, and DeKalb County.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for the beautiful day that you've given to us. We thank you, Lord, just for the gift of living in this part of this country, this part of the creation that you have given to us to live in. And Father, we thank you for just giving us the wisdom and the discernment that we need to make decisions. And we pray, Lord, that as we make decisions tonight concerning this county, Lord, that you will bless each decision, that you will guide each person as they make it, and that it will be your will that has been impressed upon them. So, Father, we pray that you will continue to bless this county, this state, and this nation. And, Father, may you be with all of our government agencies tonight as they deal with difficult situations all around the globe. So, Father, we thank you for who you are, and we pray all this in the name of your Son, Jesus the Christ. Amen.
Can you lead the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, can you call the roll? Go ahead.
Tom Chandler.
Here.
No.
Here.
Larry Green.
Here.
Beth Pafford.
Here.
Myron Rhodey.
Here.
Greg Matthews.
Here.
Andy Pack.
Here.
Matthias Anderson.
Here.
Glenn Merriman.
Here.
Brandon Donnell. Daniel Cripps.
Here.
Jeff Barnes.
Here.
Sabrina Farler.
Here.
Tony Colwell. 12 present.
Okay. We do have a quorum, so we'll go to public comments. Anybody from the public would like to make a public comment? All right. Okay. All right. Go ahead and state your name and either your district or your address, and I'll give you 3 minutes.
All right. Paul Miranda, District 4. So I'm going to come at a different angle than I normally do with this because I think it's important. This commission obviously has heard from a lot of people over the recent weeks, months, probably years. And I think there's a complete disconnect from this commission who sits here and listens to public comment, but they aren't hearing the voters. And what really set this in place for me is a conversation I had with the jail committee chairman last week after the committee meeting had adjourned. When all the microphones were off, when the cameras from WJLE had packed up their stuff and left, and there were very few people around, he and I had a conversation. And initially the conversation seemed to be on a positive tone. I again showed my support for current property owned by the county. I showed him an overlay of how a 400-bed jail facility from Coffee County fit exactly on the property that is shared by the. However, he then started up again with about how communities, residential neighborhoods would be safer with the jail in close proximity, deep inside one. And I told him, I said, well, if we went and asked 100 of your voters, and I gave him the benefit, I said, maybe 5 would agree with your assertion. He would feel safer having a jail so close to his home. And his response was, I wouldn't care. I said, no, would you feel safer? And I said, well, or he responded, yes. And I said, well, you represent the 95 of those people who say otherwise. And his attitude was, well, if they don't like it, they can vote me out and change it. And I said, well, Mr. Green, are you willing to say that in open public forum as we are today and say that he would ignore the 95% of the people that don't want it? Because he's not here for his opinion. He's here for his constituents' opinion. And he flat out told me that he would vote the way he wanted to and would ignore his constituents. a little shocking to me. I was perplexed because he took off the mask and he pulled back the curtain of the attitude, at least of his attitude, and I don't know how many other commissioners here. So immediately following that conversation, I happened to come across Mr. Sean Tubbs, who was over there, and he saw me walk across, and he asked, "What's up?" And I shared that conversation. So I have no reason to mislead or tell people anything other than exactly what Mr. Green said. He would try and ramrod this jail project through regardless of the public or voter sentiment.
All right, Mr. Miranda, your time's expired. You know the drill, Steve. Go ahead.
Testing. Can you hear it? Okay, better. Maybe. How about that? Can you hear that better? Okay. All right. Steve Cantrell, District 5. First and foremost, thank you to the Jail Committee and those citizens who have interacted with the committee, either in person or over the phone. While the turnout of citizens physically in this room and the other meeting rooms has been both large and small at times, the number of citizens following it on the radio and through media has been much larger. With that said, there are a number of facts I would like to highlight as the county begins to make final decisions from jail location to outsourcing for selection of a construction firm. I understand Trainer is officially the jail architectural firm. Fact one, we do not have a final architectural design for the jail, just conceptual ideas from Trainer based on where the jail will be, either its current site or jail at the green space. Jail costs are a general estimate based on preliminary design concepts, not a final plan. The general cost estimates presented thus far are strictly based on the future location of the jail. No other costs have been taken into consideration. So therefore, the difference between the current location or staying at the current location would be $8,600,000 more for a 150-bed facility, $9,300,000 for a 200-bed facility. However, neither one of these estimates reflects the additional cost of transporting prisoners from the green space site to a downtown. A point members represented here tonight continuously highlighted when you were trying to justify a justice center vice a divided jail and courthouse. Fact 4, the sheriff's office will remain in downtown Smithville no matter where the jail is built. If the jail is built on green space, then I assume daily holding cells will exist in the sheriff's facility to secure prisoners on their court days. Fact 5, although the jail committee appears ready to recommend green space for purchase, the county has yet to post in any publication a request soliciting submissions for property and associated price for consideration. Fact 6, what the citizens want. Business interests and one group of citizens want you to select green space for the county jail to free up space downtown to facilitate Smithville city commerce and in turn growth for the county. Another group of citizens want it to remain where it is because it will accommodate a new build and it won't require additional transportation costs to move prisoners to and from the jail to the sheriff's office. Still others want the current site to be selected instead of green space because they don't want the jail close to their neighborhood or additional traffic in that area. Fact 7, any future green space will not be immediate but contingent on land meeting building specifications validated by core drilling samples. I highlight these 7 facts. They're based on facts that we know as citizens, but that's all we know. But the challenge has been we've been going off on spurious expeditions or rabbit holes. Take, for example, building the jail downtown will interrupt commerce in the Jamboree. While true, so will dismantling portions of the old jail complex and building new businesses downtown. So please stay focused on the facts by spurious arguments as you go forward in discussing and making tough decisions on behalf of the citizens of DeKalb County. Thank you.
Go ahead and state your name, either your district or your address.
It's Doug Walter, District 2. Just here, again, on SRM Quarry to keep you guys up to date what's going on there. Still don't have a permit there. But North Driver Road, which goes into that property, they have not put a gate on. They did not contact a road supervisor. I talked with him before the meeting. And when the road's 0.4 miles long, a couple hundred yards in off Highway 70, they put a gate, block the road. It's not their road, it's a county road. Once again, this is just an example of the great corporate citizen, I hope you note the sarcasm, that these folks are showing us and respect that they're showing to the county. They're doing whatever they want. They haven't contacted the mayor, I assume. They haven't contacted anybody, they just put up a gate. So keep all this in mind when it comes time to consider if action needs to be taken. Pretty much following, after talking with Hilton, with the Grundy County case gets resolved with the state Supreme Court. But yeah, they're sponsoring the Jamboree. Like I said last time, that's a shiny thing. Look what we're doing up here, and look what we're doing in Dowtown. Completely different approach. So I just want everybody to continue to be aware of that. That road should maintain a county road, as I think, so you can ride in there and see what they're doing. Thank you for your time.
State your name and either your address or the district you reside in. I'll give you 3 minutes.
Sure. Randy Caldwell, 106 West Walnut and 655 Shady Place. I'm a building owner downtown and a business owner as well. I got up here a couple of months ago to express my concerns about the building going downtown from my 38 years of experience in the civil engineering industry and the land planning, as well as a business owner. I fully support the jail committee's recommendation to locate this on a green space. I know it's tough, I know it's a tough job up there, but when you have options, I'm hoping that you're looking at the long-term success of the downtown as part of that equation, and I think that's the best solution for that, as well as being the least expensive. It also has the least number of surprises associated with retrofitting an existing building. So I appreciate what you do and appreciate the opportunity to speak here tonight.
Thank you. Anybody else? State your name and either your district you reside in or your address. I'll give you 3 minutes.
Hello, I'm Jason Lane. I live at the end of Coconut Ridge, 6434, about 3 or 4 doors down from Philip and Susan Lloyd, who lost their. Sorry. Is that better? Yes. I live just a few doors down from my neighbors whose house burned to the ground 2 weeks ago off the end of Coconut Ridge Road. And it was a real eye-opener for everybody in the community that lives around there. I happen to live there full-time to just have to sit and I realize there's logistics and from condition and how fast you can drive down a single road with a lot of potholes and everything. But I spent just a little bit of time talking to Donnie Green about reflecting on what occurred, and was there anything that we could do as a community to possibly help? And the community is very interested to see if there are any feasible alternatives to helping, because we were told that the fire hydrants are basically worthless. The main reason, after talking with Mr. Fouch, was that they're 6-inch water mains that be reduced, or it would blow all the lines. So there's major inline pressure reducers that make the hydrants basically worthless. So he said, I have 2 problems: access and water. He said, I can only come down there with so much water. And he said, there's a abandoned ramp down there that we wound up having to use to get lake water. And he says, if you can somehow get the Corps to cooperate and consider improving the access, and then maybe getting a water permit, and possibly considering cutting down some trees where the fire trucks can turn around and make access to the water. That, he said, he thought that was something that could very well help. And so my ask here is to see if they're open to that idea. Obviously, we can spend all the time planning, but if it all involves cooperation from the Corps, there's really no point in spending the time to think through it. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? State your name and either your address or the district you reside in, and I'll give you 3 minutes.
Can you hear me? Hi, my name is Erin Fennell. My address is 260 August Drive. I also own a business on 105 West Main Street. Let's see. My husband and I have been a part of the Four Seasons neighborhood for 20 years and full-time residents for over 5. We are also deeply committed to the success of our town through our property and business on the square. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you tonight, and thank you for your service and dedication to our community. I am here to express my strong support for relocating the jail off the square. I truly believe this change would benefit the broader community, both socially and economically. I understand this is a complex decision, and I appreciate the thoughtful attention each of you has given it. However, when we look at the long-term potential for economic development, revitalization, and quality of life, it becomes clear that repurposing the central location could significantly contribute to the growth and prosperity of our town. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, state your name and either the district you reside in or your address, and I'll give you 3 minutes.
At the end of last week, WJLE posted an agenda for tonight's meeting. Big surprise, today after lunch, a new agenda was posted. What was that? Oh, I'm sorry, Kathy Slager, District 1. At the end of last week, WJLE posted the agenda for tonight's meeting. Big surprise, today after lunch, a new agenda was posted. I bring your attention to item number 11, buried at the bottom, resolution for capital outlay note. I guess you didn't want anyone to see this item, especially you, Mr. Adcock, since you snuck the agenda item out today at the last minute, shortly prior to tonight's meeting. Just how stupid do you think we are? I wish the entire county could have shown up in protest so you would know how they feel, because everyone I've talked to is against what you're trying to do with respect to the jail and land purchase. I have a question for all of you. Why are you still not listening to us? What are y'all getting out of this? There has to be something in it for you, or you wouldn't be fighting so hard for something that most of your constituents do not want. Another thing, I watched your interview, Mr. Adcock, on WJLE. I don't mean to seem heartless, but frankly, I don't care if the inmates don't have proper lighting, a large enough space, or if there's mold and mildew. Really, jail is not supposed to be a vacation home. Jail is supposed to be a deterrent to committing a crime. Make it so they don't want to come back. I wouldn't want to go back to jail. Don't make it a 4-star jail that they want to come back to, that they have a nice spacious room with internet. To be quite honest, I'm sick of wanting to give them the things that we have to work hard to pay for. I stand by what I said at the last meeting when I mentioned the commissioners who were spearheading the county to purchase property for the jail. You will never convince me that you aren't getting something out of it. You know who you are. While there are those of us who have to sit back and watch and worry about paying the ever-rising property taxes each year, it's clear to me that you won't listen to us, but in August 2026, it will be made crystal clear. That's a promise.
Darcy, you know the routine. Go ahead.
Darcy Cripps, 1st District. Can you hear me? I've been told from the very first meeting I attended that I was wasting my time. They'll do what they want to do. They're not going to listen to you. But I always believed that some of you might listen to your constituents. I know you're not voting on a criminal justice center tonight, but you are voting to purchase multiple acres, 30 plus, 70 plus, so that it can be built, and I feel like much sooner than later. My thoughts after watching the way some of you work is there's very well may be a criminal justice center along with a new jail. With the cherry picking on who gets new money, who gets raises, who gets equipment, and who gets very little to nothing in the budget, I'm realizing all those negative Nellies may very well have been right. It doesn't do any good to try. It doesn't do any good to voice your opinion. It does even less for you to try to understand what's going on. I hope each one of you really think about what you're voting on. We're not beating a dead horse, as has been said many times. The proverbial can has been kicked right into your lap, and it's up to you to do the right thing. Think seriously about the citizens of the county before you think about how you are going to benefit from this massive project. And I guess we all should really just brace ourselves for what's coming. I've been asked why I care so much, And I'm going to tell you right here again, I care because young couples are trying to buy homes and they end up having to rent because they can't pay the property taxes, the mortgage, the utilities, and all the other expenses that go with. And those who have stretched out and taken the risk are hurting right now and living paycheck to paycheck, prayerfully. Our elderly community and our retired community, who are two very different communities, not the same. They're hurting right now. They're hurting to pay their property taxes. They're hurting to pay $8 and $10 for a dozen eggs. School supplies, groceries, electric bill, and gas is all going up. We're going to need another school before 10 to 15 years. We need infrastructure. We don't need Center Hill Lake on the doors of our courthouse. I had so much more to say, but it seems like such a waste. It seems like it's fallen on deaf ears and nobody's listening. So I just really do hope that you guys pay attention to what's being said and what's not being said. Thank you.
State your name and either your address or district you reside in. I'll give you 3 minutes.
Randy Slager, 1st District. What I'd like to talk tonight about is moving the jail to a new location. I worked in the county department for many years. There was always a bidding process. Why wouldn't you come up with a design that you're going to build and then put it out for bid instead of getting one contractor's price and saying, that's it, we got to move? People have told you over and over they're against building this pipe dream. When will you listen? Many of you are appointees, but the time will come when you'll have to face the county people on election day. Let your conscience be your guide on this jail, because the voters will let it be theirs in 2026.
Anybody else? State your name, neither your address or district you reside in. I'll give you 3 minutes.
My name is Barbara Borlick, 235 Villa Street, Smithville. I live and work in Smithville. I truly love this town and all it has to offer. However, I do not believe that a jail located on a downtown square reflects the direction and the vision that Smithville deserves. I would love to see the jail relocated and the current space repurposed for something that brings value and vitality to our town, such as a new restaurant, a live theater, or a similar business that could provide entertainment, enhance our community spirit, and generate more revenue. A jail, by contrast, does not contribute to our local economy or align with the vibrant downtown many of us would like to see. It's worth noting that other surrounding towns, McMinnville, Cookville, Woodbury, don't have jails located in their town squares. Instead, they feature restaurants, theaters, and spaces that draw both residents and visitors. Smithville has the same potential. A new children's playland recently opened next door to my office at the corner of Webb and 3rd Streets. From our storefront, we can see the barbed wire fence of the jail yard. As a parent, having a jail in such close proximity to a space meant for children is concerning and uninviting. I also frequently walk past the jail to get to the post office. It's less than a block away. The location is simply not ideal for a correctional facility. Currently, this jail houses, 250 beds, and the proposal to expand and bring more inmates feels, quite frankly, like a disservice to the town and its residents. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, we'll go on to the approval of our agenda. Anybody like to make a motion to approve the agenda? Motion by Tom. Would anybody like to second?
I'll second that.
Second by Matthias. Any discussion?
I would like to make a motion that we table the resolution regarding, it's the last thing on here, for capital outlay.
Okay.
I know we talked in our workshop, just kind of spitballed, it felt like, you know, what we would do, how we,
Right.
what monies we could use to get started. And I think tonight, having that as an agenda item may be a bit premature.
Well, that was what was
Like to
requested.
I'll second that.
Okay. You got a
Did you want to say something?
I was just going to say that's what the commission had asked for in the workshop was something.
that?
Yep.
Okay.
That could
I
go
guess I didn't
between.
understand
I didn't
that.
understand that either, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay.
Well, that's what was requested was some type of something from Steve Bates to tell us what that would look like if they wanted to purchase a piece of property.
Okay, I guess I didn't know that meant put it on the agenda.
Well, in the
So-
workshop, they wanted pretty much everything on the agenda. They remember in discussion.
Yes, I do remember.
They added the lease. You all requested for me to put
Yes.
the lease on there. Also, the paramedic school compensation agreement that Trent had asked for you to do, and then somebody brought up a way to fund something if, in the case that we wanted to purchase a piece of property, having some type of funding source or something broke down for Steve. So that's what I provided.
Well, I'm still, my motion's on the
Yeah, that's fine.
floor to table
We got
to
a
wait.
motion and a second. Any more discussion?
You already have a motion on the floor with a second. That's to approve the agenda.
Yeah, but this was to amend that motion, so
Yeah.
we got to vote on the amendment
We got to
first.
vote on the amendment.
And we're not discussing any of the other parts, just the one she mentioned,
Yeah.
not the others that had been added to the agenda.
So there's been a request to amend the agenda.
Yes.
That's what you meant by table.
Yes.
And I'd like to have a roll call vote with that.
That's what I'm going to do. Any more discussion?
So what are we voting?
To take off the capital outlay note for the purchase of a piece of property on the last item on the agenda.
So it's yes to take it off, no to leave it on.
It's, oh, they're asking you to turn your microphone on.
So it's yes to take it off and no to leave it on.
If you vote yes, it is to remove the capital outlay note, the last item on in new business for the capital outlay note to purchase a piece of property. It was to remove that.
Okay?
Means it's removed. Any more discussion?
Yes, it's time to move on this. We've beat this to death for 2 years. We can't just keep putting this off because some are unwilling to make it to vote one way or the other. So it's time to go. We
No.
have all the information we need to proceed.
I don't know who's not voting. I'm going to vote no, so that's a vote.
I'd like to know the information that we all have to proceed. I mean, everybody keeps saying beating a dead horse, but we still ain't decided 90% of what we're doing.
Did y'all have something else you wanted to say? Are y'all good?
So a yes would be to remove that, a no
Remove.
would be to leave it on the agenda.
That's correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understood correctly.
Yep. Any more discussion?
And it still could be brought up in other business, it's just removing it from the agenda. Am I understanding that correctly? Just, or not at all? Because,
I mean, a commissioner could bring it back up in other business, I guess, if they wanted to, but
yeah, I just want,
Yeah.
yeah. Not that it needs to,
yeah.
And this is basically authorizing just using the $3 million that came into debt service this year for the construction
That's
of the jail.
correct. Yeah, the $3 million that's already accumulated there.
So this is basically just authorizing us to use it for land or design, architectural design costs, any, this basically says, hey, we can use that money to move forward on the jail.
Yeah, I think it was for anything that has to do with the land, as far as core drilling it, any of that, plus the purchase of it.
Yeah. Architectural, engineering costs.
Any more discussion? All right, clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Sabrina Farler,
Yes.
Jeff Barnes,
No.
Daniel Cripps,
No.
Glenn Merriman,
No.
Matthias Anderson,
No.
Andy Pack,
No.
Greg Matthews,
Yes.
Myron Rhodey,
Yes.
Beth Pafford,
Yes.
Larry Green,
No.
Tony Luna,
No.
Tom Chandler.
No.
8 noes.
All right, motion fails, so we'll go back to the original motion of approving the agenda. Is there any discussion? All right. Just because of all the controversial topics, I'll go ahead and call for roll call on the agenda.
Sabrina Farler,
Yes.
Jeff Barnes,
Yes.
Daniel Cripps,
Yes.
Glenn Merriman,
Yes.
Matthias Anderson,
Yes.
Andy Pack,
Yes.
Greg Matthews,
Yes.
No.
Beth Pafford,
Yes.
Larry Green,
Yes.
Tony Luna,
Yes.
Tom Chandler.
Yes.
11 yes.
All right, motion passes. The approval of minutes from our prior meeting, this is of the 29th day of May. Anybody like to make a motion to approve our minutes from the prior meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Tom,
I'll second it.
seconded by Tony Luna. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Our local option sales tax agreement, or excuse me, local option sales tax report. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve this report?
Motion to knowledge.
Motion by Daniel,
Second.
seconded by Sabrina. Any discussion?
About $75,000 to the plus.
That's right. Increases in sales tax, always good news. All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. All right, just bear with me. We got quite a bit of budget amendments here. The backpack program, we'll start with the Board of Education. $621 from backpack donations to food supplies backpack. And we've got quite a lengthy one here for the summer learning camps. They're debiting $258,367.06. $137,200 for teachers, $17,550 educational assistants, $13,331.56 Social Security, $17,630.50 state retirement, $3,400 Medicare, $5,000 for the retirement, $2,000 for instructional supplies, $15,680 for medical personnel, $1,000 Social Security, $1,450 for retirement, $100 for unemployment, $250 for Medicare, $3,920 other salary and wages, $250 Social Security, $350 retirement, $50 unemployment, $75 Medicare, assistant principals $15,680, Social Security $1,100, state retirement $1,500, Medicare $250, cafeteria personnel $16,000, Social Security $1,100, retirement $1,100, unemployment $100, Medicare $300, other supplies and materials $2,000. Next one is summer learning transportation. This is debiting $46,860.69, crediting supervisor director $1,920, bus drivers $18,560, other salary wages $4,720, Social Security $1,950, retirement $450, diesel fuel $14,869, gasoline $500, tire and tubes $2,260. More budget amendments to balance budget line items. Debiting $42,835 in teachers, crediting to non-certified substitute teachers $42,835. Other charges debited $2,163, crediting other contracted services in the same amount. Medical insurance debiting $2,000 and crediting medical insurance in the same amount in a different line item of medical insurance, or different account. Yeah, different line and account. Debiting $677 in in-service staff development, and debiting that to in-service and staff development in another account. Natural gas in the amount of $7,500, and accrediting to electricity. Another budget amendment for saying that they don't have enough for insurance increase. Be $31,000 debited from cafeteria personnel, credited to that medical insurance. Anybody like to make a motion to combine these budget amendments of the Board of Education and approve them?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Tom.
Second.
Second by Matthias. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Fund 122, this is for the purchase of a vehicle for a drug fund, debiting $32,282.30 from other charges in the sheriff's budget, crediting to motor group vehicles $32,282.30. And this is the only one for Fund 122. So would anybody like to make a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion by Sabrina.
I'll second.
Seconded by Greg to approve Fund 122's budget amendment. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Our fund balance, we got debiting it by $4,000 going to other general government for the trustees commission in the same amount. This is the balance the trustees commission line for the fiscal year.
I make the motion we accept.
All right, this was the only budget amendment in Fund 120. Tom made a motion.
I'll second.
Greg seconded to approve it. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We do have
Mr.
three.
Mayor, there are multiple Fund 116
Correct.
amendments. I move that we accept them, combine and accept them all.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion by Tom and seconded by Matthias to approve Fund 116's budget amendments. There's three. Is there any discussion?
Are we not reading them?
He
I
made
mean,
a
I
motion.
understand what the combining and all that means, but at one point in time, we all voted to read them out so the public would at least hear what it was.
Yeah, y'all have asked me to do that, so I've been trying to
Absolutely.
keep up with that.
I know it takes a while, and
Are y'all against me doing that, or you all right with that?
I don't see the point, but
I'll go ahead and read them.
okay.
That's okay.
Motion denied.
Well, we'll still hold your motion. I'll
That's
just read them
fine.
during your
That's
discussion. All right. So we got waste pickup and insurance in the amount of $15,000 going to vehicle maintenance and repair in the same amount. This is to bring up the waste pickup section for the solid waste fund into balance. And then we have convenience site laborers at $3,500. That's going to communication in $1,000 and $2,500 to other supplies. And this is to bring that into balance for the fiscal year. And we also have, they're debiting laborers in $31,000 and the fund balance at $87,000, crediting that $3,000 to vehicle maintenance, $97,000 to contracted services, $8,000 to other charges, and $10,000 trustees commission. Total of $118,000. So $118,000. This is to bring the transfer station solid waste budget into balance for the fiscal year. We done got a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. All right. diving into 101. State litter grant, 1,543 guards, 75 retirement, crediting to laborers $1,543 and retirement 75. So this is just changing the same amounts from state litter guard to the county litter guard. And that was because the 2 litter grant amounts were unintentionally reversed. Next one's community development, an amount of $307,906.29, going to contracted services and economic community development for the community development block grant waterline project. Our next is debiting senior center supplies and $1,500, register of deeds unemployment at $2, and fund balance of $20,000, and it's crediting senior center retirement at $1,500, register of deeds $2, county project, or excuse me, county building utilities $10,000, and trustees commission $10,000. These are just to bring these line items into balance. Next one is the fire prevention and control, and they are just doing line item adjustments. They are transferring $4,700 from in-service training to other supplies and materials, $2,500 gasoline to other charges, $8,100 from gasoline to maintenance and repair of equipment, $2,300 of liability insurance to other charges, $4,300 communications to maintenance repair buildings, $100 communications to other supplies and materials, $8,500 of communications equipment to other equipment, $7,500 of utilities to other supplies and materials, $7,100 of equipment machinery parts to other charges, $110 of communications to other supplies and materials, and $100 of communications to other charges. This is to budget line item transfers to bring all the lines appropriations into balance. Our next budget amendment is deputies, an amount of $46,000. That's going to be credited to vehicle maintenance in $40,000 and utilities in $6,000. They're also debiting $45,000 of other salaries to medical, $45,000. Fund balance of $200,000 to support inmate housing in the amount of $200,000. This is to bring the jail budget into balance. Other public safety grants in the amount of $18,340. Travel at $489. Contracted services $13,651. Office supplies $3,664. Other supplies $536. This is the grant for the coalition. Opioid settlement funding debited in the amount of $80,000, credited to other public health and other charges to bring opioid settlement funds into balance for the fiscal year. Recovery court and travel $5,500 debited, credited to other charges in the same amount. If you'll look, she's requested this. She has our letter on the back. Other public safety grants in the amount of $200, crediting to fire department equipment in the same amount. This is a volunteer fire department equipment and training grant. The grant is for $61,200. It says originally amended the budget for $61,000 in March 2025, but left $200 off in air. And there's a grant contract attached to it. Library reserve funds in the amount of $14,431.27. That's crediting to social, cultural, and recreation in the amount of, in other charges in the amount of $14,431.27. This is the library reserve funds. Medicaid, $34,654.50 is debited and credited to the ambulance service contracted services in the same amount for Medicaid. And that is all of Fund 101.
Make a motion where we can compile all the 101 budget amendments and approve them.
Second. Motion by Larry and seconded by Andy. Is there any discussion?
Can you read those one more time for me?
I don't know. Might get tongue-tied before I get it over with. Any discussion? All right. Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We had a Health, Education, and Public Welfare Committee on the 17th of June. Would anybody like to make a motion to acknowledge the meeting minutes? Motion by Tom.
I'll second.
Seconded by Greg. Any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Our jail committee, that was on the 16th of June. Anybody to make a motion to acknowledge these minutes?
I make the motion.
Motion by Tom.
I'll second.
Seconded by Greg. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. All right. So at the workshop, our ambulance service director, Trent Phillips, passed out a compensation agreement and talked a little bit about that for his paramedic employees going to, or excuse me, his EMT employees going to paramedic school. Is there a motion to approve the paramedic school compensation agreement? Motion by Tom.
Second.
Seconded by Matthias. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Our library appointments. Let me We got a letter from Miss Kathy Hendricks, our director of the DeKalb County Library System, that says, please appoint Tim Striblin, Teresa Bell, and Doris Cantrell to a 3-year term on the DeKalb County Library Board of Trustees. Please appoint Lisa Cripps to serve as the remainder of Rhea Baker's unexpired term on the County Library Board of Trustees that ends on June 30th, 2026. Rhea Baker resigned from the Library Board as of May 19th. Anybody like to make a motion to make these appointments?
I'll make a motion that we accept her request.
Greg made a motion, seconded by Tom. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I don't know if that's me or not. You can have mine. You're welcome. All right. Snow Hill Convenience Site. You should have a lease agreement that is between DeKalb County government and Bradley Mullinax and his wife, Callie Mullinax. Snow Hill. Yes, this is the Silver Point convenience site.
You got Snow Hill first on the agenda.
Oh, do I? Okay, let's do that one first. No. Let's do the Snow Hill one first. So Snow Hill would be DeKalb County government between Cindy Stevens, Judy Poss, Michelle Nicholson, Catherine Milburn. This is for the Snows Hill convenience site. So we don't have any active leases with the Silver Point site or the Snow Hill site. So we have drafted these, and of course people are wanting to renegotiate terms. During the workshop, I believe we agreed to counter offer. You know, she made her original offer of $800 a month. So we countered offered her $400 a month. So she has countered our counter with a $500 per month for the terms of a 1 year. So she says that, I guess, in case they ever have any other future ideas with that piece of property, they only want 1 year terms. So the Comptroller's office did ask for us to get these leases before June 30th, or we could possibly have a finding. So these were never in place before. So that was our attempt to remedy that.
This agreement says 10 years.
That's, no, that it should be. This one says 1 year. Do y'all have one that says something different?
Mine says
Are you looking
10.
at Bradley's? Oh, I do see that. That needs to be corrected. So if we make a motion, we can just amend that out. And we can make the correction. That's correct. Yep. Yep. So we can make that a, turn your mic on, Tom.
You're suggesting the possibility that in a year, they could decide not to lease this site to us anymore.
Well, that is correct, yes.
Of course, you realize that presents a big problem for...
Hopefully we don't have that problem, but yeah, right now, I mean, having it is better than not having it, so.
Well, we're sort of between a rock and a hard place here. We don't have a contract.
Right.
And so I'm going to make the motion that we accept this with this altered to say 1 year
Okay.
at $500.
Second. Second.
Motion by Tom, seconded by Matthias. Any discussion?
I think in the meantime, we need to be prepared and maybe start looking for a place just
Absolutely.
in case.
It's a good idea. I think the same thing.
And I'm assuming this has the clause in it?
The
that
termination
Larry-
clause, yes.
The termination clause?
Yes, it does. Yeah, both of the lease
Okay.
termination clauses.
Thank you.
All right. I don't hear any opposition, so I'm just going to go ahead and vote by acclamation. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. Motion passes. Silver Point. This should be with Brad and Callie Mullinax. This is our Silver Point convenience site. And the only thing that we changed on this was a termination clause that was requested in our last county commission meeting when this was presented. So we've got that termination clause in there.
I make the motion that we accept this.
Motion by Tom.
I'll second.
Seconded by Greg. Is there any discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Parks and Rec resolution. So this is giving us the opportunity to apply for a Parks and Recreation Master Plan grant. So this is also a partnership with the Smithfield of City. This is a $80,000 grant with a 20% local match. $16,000, so we'll be paying half of that match, and Smithfield City will be paying the other. So we'll both be paying $8,000. But there has to be a resolution in place before the grant can be submitted.
Make a motion to approve the resolution.
Motion by Larry, seconded by Tom or Matthias.
Pick it.
Any discussion?
Pick one.
Yeah. Matthias. Okay. Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Our mineral severance tax resolution. So this is what Danny Hill had got up and explained in our workshop about the this increase, and it would go back toward the roads, I believe. So,
I'll make a motion to accept it.
Motion by Greg.
Second.
Seconded by Matthias. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Our building inspector contract. So this is a contract with Mr. Davey Horton. We had passed a resolution to do our own building permits. So right now, the state is currently doing our building permits. This would give the county an extra source of revenue. But we have to have a contract with a building inspector as well as fill out a survey, and then the state will give us approval. And then we can start issuing our own building permits.
Make a motion, we approve the contract.
All right, making a motion to approve the contract and my appointment of Davey Horton, seconded by Matthias Anderson. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing no opposition, we'll vote by acclamation. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I assume Davy is his nickname.
Davey, yeah, something like that.
Because that's not his name.
It's his
Arson.
real name is Arson.
Arson, I-R-S-O-N.
But if we, yeah, but. You go by Davey, right?
Yeah, so the way that the certifications work, I have to go off of what's on my license, and on my license it says Arson James David, everybody calls me Davey. You can call me anything but other stupid.
All right. Transfer station contract. This is what our Public Works Director, Brian Reed, had brought to the workshop meeting and discussed with our contract with Waste Management. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve the transfer station contract?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Tom.
I'll second.
Seconded by Greg. Any discussion? All right, hearing no opposition, we'll vote by acclamation. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes. So our last, well, we got a jail location discussion.
Jail committee met on 6/17, and a motion was made to recommend to the full session, to the full commission, that the new jail would not be built on the current site. In fact, the actual motion is to remove the current jail site from further consideration. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All right, so Larry makes a motion not to use the existing site that the jail is currently located at. And
That's
Tom,
what we voted on at the jail committee.
right. That was voted on at the jail committee. Tom, you seconded that. Is there any discussion? All right. I don't hear any opposition, and normally I would say let's vote by acclamation, but just because of the nature of this, I think it would probably be best to do a roll call.
Tom Chandler,
Yes.
Tony Luna,
Yes.
Larry Green,
Yes.
Beth Pafford,
No.
Myron Rhodey,
No.
Greg Matthews,
Yes.
Andy Pike,
Yes.
Matthias Anderson,
Yes.
Glenn Merriman,
Yes.
Daniel Cripps,
Yes.
Jeff Barnes,
Yes.
Sabrina Farler,
Yes.
10 yes.
10 yes, motion passes. All right. Is there any other jail discussion?
I would like to see us put out a formal requisition for available properties. There are two under consideration that I guess people have come forward with. One 70 acres, is that correct? One 43 acres. But I think it would be helpful to put out a formal request, and we may get nothing, but it would demonstrate to the public that we have looked at all available options. And I'm assuming we would lay out specifications for how much property we would need for a jail. Smith County, how much acreage do they have for their jail, Daniel, do you know? 15 acres, so we could indicate a minimum of 15 acres. and include that it needs to be in the city limits or annexed, so that for future purposes, we could expand that. But I'm going to put a motion on the table.
I'll second.
All right. And motions to solicit land purchases for the county jail purpose, minimum of 15 acres.
That's my understanding, what the
I'm just asking,
would
is that what your
recommend.
motion is? I will make sure I get it right. Is that,
If that's what it takes to put a jail on the property. So whatever those,
give me a concrete answer so I know. You want,
well, we could do a minimum of 15 acres, and that would allow for future expansion, similar to what Smith County has
so a motion
done.
to advertise looking for jail property, minimum 15 acres.
Yes.
And by what means of advertisement? You want newspaper?
I don't know how this works. I'm assuming
okay.
that
I'm
the
just-
mayor's office or Hilton
I
can
just want
help
to make
us
sure I
know.
don't get anything wrong and meet your expectations.
RFP.
Okay, an RFP.
Request for proposal.
So put that forward, however legally that happens.
Okay.
Request for land that is available for a jail.
All right. Greg seconded it. Is there any discussion? All right.
I would just like to say that our work sessions and our open meetings that we've had, and I know I sat in here one night till almost 15 minutes till 10 one night with the video up here, and we searched the land. Not that I'm saying this is not a bad thing, but I do know that I have put a lot of time sitting through meetings, listening to, or seeing a map on the big screen behind us 2 different times at least, and then lots of discussions.
With all the discussion that we have had about this over the last 2 years, I can't imagine there's a real estate agent or an owner of a piece of property that could be considered for our jail that wouldn't have already come forward. I don't see any point whatsoever to this.
Well, Larry, did you not just say there's 2 more people? Pardon, did y'all not just say there's 2 more people that had land that's come forward? Because I think it was Beth's original question, and you said yes, there's 2 more pieces of property that people that's came forward.
I still didn't hear you.
Beth's original question was there not 2 more pieces of property
No,
that has come forward?
No,
No.
I was just confirming what the 2 that we have been discussed, that's all.
All right. Clerk, call the roll.
Greg Matthews,
Yes.
Myron Rhodey,
Yes.
Beth Pafford,
Yes.
Larry Green,
No.
Tony Luna,
No.
Tom Chandler,
No.
Andy Pack,
No.
Matthias Anderson,
Yes.
Glenn Merriman,
No.
Daniel Cripps,
No.
Daniel Cripps, no. Jeff Barnes,
No.
Sabrina Farler,
No.
8 no.
All right. Motion fails.
I would like to make a motion that we go ahead and move forward with the architect that was selected a year and a half ago after the RFP, is it Trenner? Now that we do have a funding mechanism, I think we should go ahead and officially, start contract negotiations or finalizations, where we're at with it, so we can really get down to the planning and design and everything like that, so we can get some better estimates.
That's a good idea, but we don't have the funding in place yet because the capital outlay note hasn't been approved. Just to let you know that.
Can I make
You
it
might want to
contingent?
withdraw that until after the resolution.
Okay, yeah.
Just,
We'll postpone it.
if that resolution passes, then yeah, that would be a good motion to have.
So can I recommend that we have a discussion of the 2 properties, the Smith Road and the Anderson Road, or whatever it is?
Robinson Road.
And the pros and cons of those? Is there a recommendation that you would like to make, Larry, as the chair of the jail committee?
Well, I would just like to point out, this wasn't on tonight's agenda, and there's two other commissioners that's not here tonight, that this wasn't going to affect a vote either way until now we're trying to squeeze this on to tonight's meeting.
And basically, we've got 72 acres on Smith Road property, which the seller has come down to 1.8 million, and we pay the expenses of closing. The other is 40 acres on Robinson Road, about 36 of acres of which are in the city limits, and their price is 1.3 million. And the Robinson Road, you do have to go further back on it to build, so it's going to cost you a little bit more to build there because the distance, you got to run your utilities, your roads, and everything. There's going to be more land to move. There's a wet weather pond back there that has to be filled in, which all those things they're all doable. I know in talking to, and Bob Bass has looked at all the different properties too. Bob's preference is Smith Road.
So given that we've not yet addressed this resolution for the capital outlay, is it appropriate for a motion that we move to pursue the Smith Road property subject to the capital outlay note?
Yes.
So I'd like to make that motion.
Second.
And subject to core drilling.
And subject to the core drilling. Yes, I'm sorry, I forgot that.
So we got a motion by Tom Chandler to purchase the Smith Road property contingent on core drilling and the capital outlay.
Not to exceed $1.8 million and contingent upon core drilling.
Yep.
Right.
You good with that?
Yes.
And Andy seconded.
Yes.
Is there any discussion?
On the 1.8, you had a little caveat in there, plus us paying for closing costs. Do we need to add that to that motion?
Yes,
So 1.8 plus the closing cost.
plus closing costs, yes.
Words in my mouth.
All right.
So this right here is deciding, Robinson's just straight off the bat, we're not even gonna choose. This is automatically Smith Road.
Okay.
Once
Motion
again, I want to object to all of this, because this was not on tonight's meeting, and there's two more commissioners that would probably like to get a vote in on this.
All right. Clerk, can you call the roll?
Tom Chandler,
Yes.
Tony Luna,
Yes.
Larry Green,
Yes.
Beth Pafford,
No.
Myron Rhodey,
No.
Greg Matthews,
No.
Andy Pack,
Yes.
Matthias Anderson,
Yes.
Glenn Merriman,
Yes.
Daniel Cripps,
Yes.
Jeff Barnes,
Yes.
Sabrina Farler.
Yes.
9 yes.
All right. Vote passes. All right. So
Anything else we can slide
next
in
one
there?
is the resolution for the capital. Nope.
I'll make the motion that we issue this. This would enable us to use the funds from the $3 million we collected to pay for the property and other things associated with the property.
All right.
Second.
So you want to make a motion to approve the $3 million capital outlay note? Do you want to add that to be a 12-year note? Would you?
Yes.
All right, on a 12-year note.
So this is an issuance of this document. This is approval of this document to use that funding and pursue purchase of the property in a jail for, note for 12 years.
All right, so Tom Chandler made a motion to approve the $3 million capital outlay note for the purpose of a jail on a 12-year note, and that was seconded by Andy. Is there any discussion?
So this is just for the $3 million? Or is this for additional
This is to
money?
purchase the land. So this could purchase the land, which they voted for Smith Road, and that would also do any core drilling, any of the fees that would accumulate from that purchase for preparation of a jail.
Okay, so I'm not into legalese or anything, so I'm gonna ask a contractual question. In Section 2, it says the note shall mature not later than 3 years after the date of issuance.
Yeah, you only have so many years to
Pay it off?
go through with it. No, not to pay it off.
To
Borrow the money.
take it out?
To execute.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you. I just needed that clarification.
Yeah. All right. Got a motion and a second. Let's roll call it.
Andy Pack,
Yes.
Sanderson,
Yes.
Glenn Merriman,
Yes.
Daniel Cripps,
Yes.
Jeff Barnes,
Yes.
Sabrina Farler,
Yes.
Greg Matthews,
No.
Myron Rhodey,
No.
Beth Pafford,
No.
Larry Green,
Yes.
Tony Luna,
Yes.
Chandler.
Yes.
9 yes.
All right, 9 yes. Motion passes. Any other business?
I mean, I'd just like to say, for a commission that come in, everybody's swearing up and down on transparency. I mean, this is sliding stuff in tonight's kind of, that's beyond a little much. It's a little much.
All right,
Can,
go ahead.
can we also have a discussion of the jail? This is a jail location discussion. Since we've selected a piece of property, we have approved a mechanism for paying for that property. It seems appropriate to me that we also consider a vote on the jail and its funding.
Okay.
I think we have information to do that.
Is it the funding not off the tax rate, tax revenue? So we don't know. Just point that out. We're gonna, old saying, throw it against the wall and hope something sticks, right? Ridiculous.
So I'll just have a discussion. We received some quotes, multiple quotes for sizes of jail, 152 bed, 200 bed. I think the variations were something like $28 to $35 million, depending upon the location. Since we have a location, hell, I'll make a motion that we issue a note for $35 million for whatever that will build.
Okay.
Whether it's 152, it's 157, 143, or 190, 200,
Just whatever that. can
whatever
afford.
that $35 million will pay for.
Okay. Got a motion,
I'll second that.
seconded by Tony Luna. Any discussion?
I'd also like to add, for that to be a 12-year note, which saves the tax dollars about
That-
$8 million.
I'll add that, that would be in sync with the 12-year note for
35 million.
purchasing the land as well.
All right.
And this would also give the budget committee the information they need. They
Yeah.
can come back and
I
set a
think say
budget.
that would,
It's the last domino.
yeah, that'd be the last thing you'd have to talk about, so. 35 million on a 12-year note, whatever that will build, what it will build.
We have an architect, we have a piece of land, we have a mechanism for paying for the land. This is what we've been working on for 2 years.
Yep, you're right.
And I would just like to say too, for the record, that once the architect and TCI and the sheriff and the commission agree on the final drawings, they will be drawn up and it will be sent out for bids. We will not turn a shovel until we open the bids. Everything in this whole project is going to be bid out. It'll be all competitive bidding.
That's a very good point, Larry, and because that has been some confusion. So, Bell does not determine how much this is actually going to cost. So, they have just been generous enough to give us an idea, an estimate or quote of what idea we might be looking at. In the case that we were to build a jail, we would open up a public bidding process where everything would be bid out individually. So that would be from even local level of people. So the steel, the gravel, every component that will be in this project will all go through a public bidding process through our purchasing committee, and that will determine your cost. You know, they have to kind of give you, just because they're in the industry, they can give you a good guess of what it's going to be. And it might not even be anywhere close to 35 million, you know. Maybe we can cut costs down a lot through that process. So, and again, as we go through the project, the architect can take away or, you know, move things that need to be done to make the project work for DeKalb County. But yeah, I'm glad you did say that, because I think we've needed to talk about that for a while, because apparently that's been misunderstood. So the architect or Bell, either one, which is just a general contracting company, that pretty much just tells who to be there when the plumber needs to be there, when the electrician needs to be there, when the painter needs to be there to do his part. But all this will be publicly bid out. So it's not like we just got one quote and this guy's going to build it for 35 million. That's the solid number that it's going to be. That's not how the process works. So
I realize, Mr. Mayor, that that's, some people believe that, but I also think it's sad that we're at a point where people would think that was the case. It is now and always been standard operating procedure for the county to bid out projects above a certain level.
Yep.
It's also unfortunate that anyone in this county would think that any member of this body would be somehow financially benefiting from decisions being made by this body. But unfortunately, we heard tonight that there's at least one person in this room that feels that way, and I don't think they're the only one that feels that way.
Well,
in our bidding, we have to obey all state laws.
yes, the laws are very strict on this type of thing. So the whole thing will be audited through the comptroller's office. So this whole process will be very transparent and very in order. So.
And the bidding process is going to be just like you said, but it's going to be $35 million because his motion said not to exceed that. So that's what we're going to wind up spending, $35 million.
Well, not to exceed, which means we
Right.
wouldn't go
But
over
when it's all
35
said and
million.
done, that's going to be the project. However many bids is the way he worded it, up to $35 million,
that's
no
not
matter how
true.
many bids. Read that minutes back and let's see what he said in the minutes.
I don't have to have the minutes come sitting in the
Well, I
meeting.
mean, we've got them right here.
He said not to exceed
35
So
million
it
and
could
build
be-
whatever that would build. Was that not what he
Well,
said?
when you get done talking over me, I'll explain it. So
Read the minutes back. I'd like to have the minutes read back. Then I don't have to listen.
he said not to exceed $35 million, which means if it come in at 25 million, and that's all we needed. Whatever project that they come up with was $25 million, then you'd only borrow $25 million.
But let's, I agree with Myron. The motion I made was that we seek bids for whatever $35 million would pay.
That's exactly what I said.
Now, technically, that's the same as saying not to exceed $35 million, but it does open the door for those bidding to tell us how big a jail they can give us for $35 million. But as we go forward with putting out these bids, we're also going to give some specifications for what we think needs to be considered as part of that jail. It isn't just a bunch of sales. There will be some other stuff included in that jail. So this isn't just a block of sales, it's sales and whatever.
You'll still get to vote on the project. It's not like you just say $35 million and some person in some room gets to design this thing to whatever amount they want to design.
We have already decided to take Trainer as the architect on this. So Trainer is going to come with a proposed design of which we're going to make comments on and decisions before that is released for bidding.
Yes, you'll still get to make a decision on the building before they will build it. And you'll know a close cost. You're never going to know down to the penny until the project is completely bid out, because you don't know what the bids are going to come back as.
And that is why I did in fact say, whatever $35 million, it was a cutoff of $35 million, whatever that would build. And I meant it that way.
Right.
Because we do not have agreement about the number of cells or beds that should be in this jail.
Right.
So I'm saying, okay, let's put a stake in the ground and pay for what that will build.
Right. Okay. We beat this to death enough. Go ahead and call roll.
Now what are we voting? 35 million.
We're voting on spending $35 million for a jail on a piece of property we've already agreed on under the resolution for that, paying for that piece of property and using the architect that we've already agreed on.
Could we modify that motion and make an amendment to it not to exceed $35 million?
I thought that was implied, but okay.
The motion was
I second.
not to exceed $35 million 12-year note for the purpose of a jail. Is that not correct?
I'll go with that, yes.
Okay. Jimmy, is that what you got?
That's what I had 30 minutes ago.
Okay, that's what I thought. Call the, so if you vote for this, if you vote yes, you're voting for the approval of a $35 million note, 12-year note, for the purpose of a jail. Call the roll.
Greg Matthews,
No.
Myron Rhodey,
No.
Beth Pafford,
No.
Andy Pack,
Yes.
Matthias Anderson,
Yes.
Glenn Merriman,
Yes.
Daniel Cripps,
Yes.
Jeff Barnes,
Yes.
Sabrina Farler,
No, because I think it should go to the budget committee first.
Tom Chandler,
Yes.
Tony Luna,
Yes.
Larry Green,
Yes.
8 yes.
8
4
yes,
no.
motion passes. All right. Y'all got any other business before I go to notaries?
Before you go to no.
All
So
right.
will this capital outlay cover going under contract with the architect? or-
It does.
Okay,
Yeah.
so do I need to remake my motion from earlier?
Yes, it would be appropriate.
If you want, I think it says that it could come out of there, though. I think it
It does, but I think it's,
architectural engineer costs.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, so it's in the, well, it's in the 3,000, or 3 million.
We at least move forward and see
All right.
what the cost is gonna be and things like that, so we can get specifics, and then we can argue about bed count and stuff like that later.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, we got Carl Byford Jr., Angelica Hutchings, Tracy Kielman, and Briz Trapp. Would anybody like to make a motion to appoint these notaries?
So moved.
Larry?
second.
Seconded by Tom. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Jeff, your turn.
No, wait.
Oh.
Before we start seconds, I gotta say something, and we can all separate. The 51 cents that was raised last year was for a $65 million bond. That bond failed. That 51 cents should have went back. When we got our stuff together, then we set the tax rate based on the project that we have. Instead, we're keeping part of that money that we done told the public that's what it was for. I just want to point out that everybody who said yes just lied to everybody that y'all have spoken to prior to this. And that's just ridiculous.
Jeff?
I made a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Seconded by Tom. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Adios.